Hey there guys, and welcome back to Dark Souls 2. In the last episode, after watching the opening cinematic and all that good stuff, we did our character creation. And also I did a detailed explanation on each character class and what they specialize in. And also their starting equipment and stats. Alright, so also I explained what each starting gift did and which is the best one to pick. So hopefully you guys picked a good class that is best suitable for your playstyle, such as a melee or sorcerer. And I ended up choosing the Deprived because I wanted to show you guys how to build your character from ground up, starting with scratch. So I have nothing. I ended up choosing the healing wares as a gift because you don't start off with nothing with the Deprived. With each character you're going to have some life gems, except for the Deprived. You have to have the healing wares in order to get some life gems. So I would highly suggest to equip the life gems in your inventory now. That way you can use them because you don't start off with an Estus flask. So life gems are going to be your primary healing method until you get an Estus flask. Alright, so before we move on, I just wanted to say a quick thing about the character classes in this game. If you are a melee character, that doesn't mean that you have to stick to solely melee through the whole game. You can actually develop your character into a powerful mage that can cast sorceries, miracles, and hexes if you wanted to. And the same goes for a sorcerer. If you're a sorcerer, you can build your character into a powerful melee fighter. So just because you start off with a starting class such as melee or sorcery, that doesn't mean that you're limited to that through the whole game. All it means is you choose what class you want based on your preferred playstyle for the early parts of the game. Like what you want to be able to use first, and then you can develop your character however you want. Which is why I started off with Deprived. I wanted to show you guys how to build your character from ground up, starting with nothing. No weapon, no shield, no nothing. No armor. Alright, so you can talk to the people in this area, but they don't give you anything. It's just backstory and stuff like that. So there are some items, however, that we're going to grab before we move on. If you head upstairs, you can find a chest that contains a human effigy. Now, human effigies are pretty much like humanity in the first Dark Souls. When you die in this game, you turn hollow, and that not only changes your physical appearance from human into undead looking, but it also, each time you die, it takes away 10% of your maximum health. And each time you die, it keeps taking 10% away until it reaches the limit, which is 50%. So if you die 5 times in a row, you're only going to have 50% of your maximum health, which is displayed in the upper left, your red bar, and the green bar is your stamina. So what a human effigy does is if you're hollowed and you use it, it will turn you back into human and give you all your health back. So it's really important to save those human effigies for when you really need them. And also, each time you die, I would not use a human effigy because that'll just be wasting your human effigy. Instead, you're going to want to wait until you die like 3 or 4 times, 5 times. That way your health is like at 50% of its normal, what it should be. Then you can use a human effigy and you'll get it all back. So, you know, you get the most bang for your buck pretty much. If you know what I'm saying. Alright, so once you've done that, let's go ahead and head back to the starting area because there's a couple items we need to grab here before moving on. The first item, before you cross back over the bridge, over on the right will be a small hidden path that'll lead you behind the waterfall. Here you'll find a corpse that you can loot for a small, smooth and silky stone. Once you got that, cross over the bridge and look to your right for another hidden path. You'll see some footprints in the sand. Now you need to be very careful in this area because at the top is a Cyclops. There he is. And this guy is really strong. He's got a couple different attacks. He can like swing at you 3 times, which will probably kill you depending on how much health you have. And he has a devastating one-hit kill attack where he grabs you and just starts chomping on you. Yeah, that'll kill any of your starting characters, no matter what the health is. So basically, if you're like a ranged character that's got like a bow, or if you're a sorcerer that can cast spells, you can take this guy out easily. All you do is run back to the entrance here where that little hole is in the wall. And if you walk to the other side of the hole, he'll follow you, but he can't squeeze through the hole. So you can just shoot him with a bow or sorcery spells, and you can kill him really easily. For melee characters, I would suggest to just come back and get this guy later, because he's really strong. And he can kill you really easy unless you're really skilled. If you do want to take him out, though, just try and stay behind him or on the side of him. Because if you're right in front of him, he can really take you out quick, either with his swiping attacks, or if he grabs you and chomps you, you're instantly dead. For beating this guy, you'll get 1,000 souls, and you'll get a stone ring, which is really good to have. But the main reason we came up here is because there is a corpse directly in front of him that contains a gold pine resin that we need to grab. So let's go ahead and loot this. Let's go ahead and lure this guy. Let's go ahead and lure him away from the corpse so that we can go and loot it. Alright, once he moves away, go ahead and loot the corpse in the corner for a gold pine resin. Now let's get out of here because we don't have a bow or anything to take him out right now. Alright, so back outside, if you head to the right, and then over to the left, you'll find a small little alcove you can go in, which will lead you to a corpse hanging by a cliff. Go ahead and loot that for a rusted coin, which will increase your luck. And that's all the items for this area. Let's head back to the hut. We can get the show on the road. Alright, so go ahead and enter the left door, and you'll find the area's first bonfire. Go ahead and light it up. Now here you can actually travel between bonfires that you've activated, which is really useful. You can attune your spells if you're a sorcerer or a cleric. And you can also burn human effigies or bonfire aesthetics. If you burn a human effigy, it'll make the links weaker between worlds, so if you're playing online, you won't get invaded so much. And if you burn a bonfire aesthetic, it'll make all the enemies in the area have more health and deal more damage, but also yield more souls. So if you're trying to soul farm, a bonfire aesthetic is really useful. Just be careful because it makes the enemies a whole lot stronger. Finally, you got the item box where you can store any unwanted items. We don't really have much because I started off with a deprived character. Also, something to take note of is these little stone statues. They're actually like little tutorial tips or whatever. So if you're a new player, make sure to examine these for some helpful tips and controls. Also, be careful because if you accidentally hit one, it'll break it and you won't be able to read it. Alright, so after doing all that, there's a wagon to the right. If you go ahead and destroy it, you can loot a corpse behind it for a soul of a lost undead and a torch. Now the souls of lost undeads, there's different kinds. You can go to your inventory and use them, and it'll give you instant souls, which is really good. But I wouldn't recommend using them now. We're gonna wait a little bit. And the torches help you light up the areas, like darker areas in the game. They're also useful because some enemies are weak to light or fire, so if you have a torch in your hand, they'll run from you. So let's go ahead and light the torch. Now notice on the left above the torch is a timer. That's how much time you have before your torch runs out. So you have to be quick, because there's a lot of stuff to light in this area. Go ahead and light up all the pedestals. Before we head through the misty doors, we're going to light everything up out here. There's another Cyclops in the distance over there. Now, since you only have one torch, you're going to want to be really quick. We're going to have to put the torch away so that we can clear all the enemies out, and then we'll go back to the bonfire. And instead of resting at the bonfire, we'll light our torch and then light everything up. So head through the first misty doorway on the left. Here you'll find the first enemies of the game. But I don't have a weapon, so I can't take these guys out yet. Instead, I'm just going to light up the torches in here. And there's actually an item further up ahead here. Our first weapon, so we'll have a weapon to use. So for now, just light the torches, and at the top of this cliff will be a corpse that you can loot for a dagger. So that's the first weapon if you're using the Deprived. So let's just go ahead and light everything up. Oh, wow. Put that torch away. No, you will not get me. Oh, look at all these guys. Alright, so I'm going to run back here and I'm going to equip the dagger. And then you can take these guys out. I'm gonna see, I think there might be some enemies down here that I passed up earlier. Yeah, there's a guy right here. If you want, you can backstab some of these enemies. If you guys don't know how to backstab, you have to walk up behind an enemy while it doesn't notice you. And then press the attack button, which is either right bumper or R1 if you're playing on PlayStation. And you can hit them for massive damage. But if they notice you, you won't be able to backstab them. You have to sneak up on them by walking pretty slow. Go ahead and use another life gem real quick. Alright, so now that we've done all that, backtrack, killed the enemies. By the way, you can actually farm this area for souls, which I'm going to do in a minute, but first we're going to have to take these guys out. Alright, so after you clear out the enemies in this area, you can loot a corpse to the left for a life gem. Then go ahead and exit through the mist. If you turn left, you'll find a bird's nest. So those of you who've known, who have played Dark Souls 1, you know what this is. You can actually trade items to Snuggly the Crow here. But the only items you can trade is either the Petrified Something, which is a gift you can choose at the beginning, a small, smooth, and silky stone, which you should already have, or the regular smooth and silky stone. So in order to trade, you have to leave one of those items inside the nest.
Yeah, yeah. So nice, so smooth. Yeah, silky smooth.
And then voila, they actually trade the item. And I got a Channeler's Trident.
You, give it, Moose. Yes, you.
Alright, so the items you get are actually random. Let me see what that Channeler's Trident is. Oh, I can't use it yet. It's a spear. You need 11 strength and 15 dexterity. Alright, so the items you get from Snuggly the Crow is random. So you won't get the same thing I do. Go ahead and kick the ladder down to create a shortcut, but don't go down the ladder. Instead, look to the right, and you should see a ledge where you can drop down. If you drop down right on top, you'll land on top of a corpse you can loot for a soul of a nameless soldier. This item gets you 800 souls, which is really useful early on in the game like this. But don't use any of those yet. Instead, drop down to the lower area, and we're going to enter the second mist door on the right now. Now, instead of going back to the bonfire to relight our torch, we're just going to clear the enemies out. And once we do that, we're going to light our torch and come back and light everything up so we can actually see. So enter this area and take out the enemies ahead. There's 2 of them. Alright, after taking care of them, be careful when you move ahead because there's a hole that you have to jump over to get an item. So if you're used to Dark Souls 1, the jumping is a little different. You can actually change that from the game options in the pause menu. Just go to game options and jump control, and you can change it back to B. That way it's like it was in Dark Souls 1. Then jump across the gap and loot the amber herb from the corpse. Then jump back across and climb the ladder to the left. Once you're at the top, if you look down on the other side, you'll see a couple enemies. So if you want, you can do a plunging attack. And if you don't know how, you can read the little statues and they'll tell you. You basically have to hit the attack button right before you land on their head. Oh, I missed it. Alright, so after taking care of those guys, if you enter the doorway on the right, you can find a corpse that contains a cracked red-eye orb. Now head out through the misty doorway, and we got one more area we got to take care of before moving on. Go ahead and drop down to the lower area, and then enter the last misty doorway on the left. Now, as soon as you get in this area, you'll get hit by an archer, so make sure you kick the tree down to create a shortcut, or to create a bridge, and then you can cross over and take out that archer. And there's also a hole with a couple of enemies down there. Now, you need to be very careful here because when you fall through this hole, you're going to take quite a bit of damage. So make sure to heal up to full health, and then you're going to have to be really quick in order to not die. So if you look down there, you can see an enemy, and if you run just right, you'll be able to plunge and do a plunging attack on his head. There he is. Now be quick after you take him out, climb the ladder, and there's another archer that's shooting arrows at you. There we go. Alright. So after you've cleared out the enemies, you can go ahead and exit through the mist. And you'll be back outside. If you turn to the left, you gotta take out another undead. Now, further ahead, down by the water, is a Cyclops, but you need to be careful because there's actually another Cyclops around that corner. There's two of them. So again, if you don't have a bow or something or spells, I would come back later and kill them. If you do manage to kill all three Cyclopses, the one at the beginning and then the two found here, you can go back into the Firekeeper's house and talk to the handmaid, and she'll give you a weapon, the handmaid's liadel, which is kind of weak. The main reason to kill those guys is for their souls. They drop 1,000 souls every time you kill them. But we're gonna come, since I'm the Deprived, we're gonna come back later and take those guys out. So for now, kick the tree down to create a shortcut back. And now with all of the areas explored, we're gonna go ahead and head back to the bonfire and light the torch. That way we can finish lighting up everything in this area. So you gotta be quick again because the torch is running on a strict timer. We only have one, so you gotta be really quick. So let's head in here first. Since all the enemies are dead, you won't have to worry about getting ambushed. Go ahead and light that torch up. And then there's nothing in this room to worth lighting. So let's go ahead and head back out. And yeah, let's head in here this time. Go ahead and light this statue here. Actually, is there something in here to light? Yeah, there ain't nothing to light up in here. Let's light that. Go ahead and climb up the ladder. And then you can drop down and light this. And finally, there's one more torch to light, and that's inside this cave. So I've pretty much lit all the torches so far. There's just one more that I have to light up. And that one is right up here. It's the one I almost died lighting up earlier. There we go. Alright, so with everything lit up, that's all. Go ahead and put that torch away. That way you can use it later if you need to. and you should have about 550 souls if you killed everything. Now, that's going to conclude this episode, but if you guys want, you can actually rest at the bonfire, and this will respawn all the enemies in the area. And then if you want, you can just kill them all again to get more souls, and then just keep killing them in order to get a lot of souls. That's really important to do this early on in the game, because once we reach the next area, we'll be able to level up automatically. So you're really going to want to kill these guys for as many souls as possible. Yep. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and clear out the enemies and get as many souls as I can. Now, a quick thing to take note of is in Dark Souls 2, the enemies have a spawn limit. So they'll only respawn 10 times. And then after you've killed them 10 times, they'll disappear forever. Unless you use a bonfire aesthetic to bring them back. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and clear these guys out and get a couple thousand souls before we move on. That way I can level up, because the Deprived is only at level 1. So I'm really going to have to do some work. But alright guys, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time where we head to the next area in order to level up and get some stuff. We really need to get some gear for our characters. See you guys next time on Dark Souls 2.